So he's like, what are you doing to me, man? All right, so let's put him into his quarantine. We're going to keep him in here for a while, monitor his eating and feces to make sure he doesn't have worms and things like that, and make sure that he eats. He's a little bit skinnier than I would like, but he seems to be nice and lively. So let's check out the female. Alright, so we just got these skinks in. We're going to first unpack them, obviously, but we need to wash them off. So we're going to wash them in some water with just a few drops of Dawn soap. What that does is if they have any topical parasites or things like that, the Dawn soap will break up the surface tension of the water, and it will make even things like mites come off and also drown under the water. So we're going to do that first. Right now we're just kind of looking over them, just a quick inspection, and then we're going to wash them, like I said, and also check over them really well for any kind of physical damages like injuries, cuts, scars, things like that. Now I'm trying to be really careful here. When they're sitting on a paper towel or anything like that, their claws tend to get stuck in it, and I don't just want to rip that off because I don't want to rip out a claw or do any kind of damage to the fingers or the hands. Now these guys are pretty funny. When you hold them, they kind of freeze up, right? So they get a little bit, I guess, of a freezing fear when you hold them, so they don't really tend to run off, but when they see the opportunity, they could just skate on you, so always be careful, even with these guys who tend to not move. Alright, so here we go. We're gonna put the first one into this bath. You can see it's not super soapy. Also, the water isn't hot. It's barely even warm. These guys, even though they come from a tropical place, they don't need or like really hot, both water and basking spots and temperatures. So when we put them in this water, it's actually pretty cool. We don't want to shock them or burn them or have them have a negative effect. So, but also you don't want it super cold, obviously, because that could also shock the animal. So we made sure we checked the temperature of this water and make sure the temperature was around 70 degrees when we put them in it. And right here I'm looking over the paper towel really well because I want to make sure that there's nothing on it. So I'm looking for worms or mites or any kind of weird living organism that might be something parasitic. Okay, now why am I doing all this? Just got these lizards. Do I not trust the breeder we got them from? And that is the problem there. We did not get them from a breeder because these guys are not easy to find captive bred. So these are all wild caught. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get ourselves 2 pairs of well acclimated wild caught ones and try to make some captive bred ones. We did the same thing with the fire skinks, and we've had them now for 7, almost 8 years, and we've had probably close to 100 babies out of them that have all been captive bred. So we're trying to kind of get this wild caught population into more healthy animals, but unfortunately you have to start with wild caught sometimes to start establishing a captive bred population. So we thought these guys were really cool and we wanted to see if we could help in that. So with all that being said, that's why we're doing all this stuff. We're washing them, we're cleaning them, we're checking for parasites, we're checking their stool to make sure there's no worms in there. And all these guys, we actually got 4 of them. Right now we have 2 here. We'll show you the other 2 here later on in the video. But they are really, I guess they have a lot of energy, right? So they're moving well, they look well, and obviously right here they're not moving because they're like, who are these huge giants touching us and sticking us in baths? I'm gonna pretend that I'm not alive. But once we kind of set them down, they sprinted off, they went into the hides, they've been eating well, all those things. So luckily it seems like we got a couple of good pairs. Right now we're sexing them to see, we'll show you how to sex them here in a second as well, but it has to do with their back feet. It's pretty easy to sex these guys, which is fortunate. Alright, so after washing them, we have distilled water in a separate tank. So we rinse them off, get all the soap off, and then stick them in the distilled water. That's going to let them soak a little bit so they can, if they were dehydrated, who knows how long they were in import and how long they sat at the importer and how long they've been in shipping, who knows. So we just wanted to give them some time to absorb some water, chill out for a little bit. So we left them in there. And it seemed to have made them a little bit happier. They were not super dark, and then after we let them soak, it's like their skin got rehydrated. They kind of look like bark when they're dry, and now they look a little bit darker, which is the normal color of them. It's like a dark brown, almost charcoal color. Alright, so trying to set up this quarantine bin in the background, but this lizard keeps photobombing me. That's alright, he's cuter than I am anyway. But what we're doing here is we're just setting up with a paper towel. Those plants right there are fake. Later on when we put them in their actual enclosures, we're going to have a bioactive one because they require a pretty high humidity, so the plants will help with that. But anyway, so in these quarantine bins, we're just going to have a paper towel, water bowl, fake plants, and a hide. And what that's going to help us do is we can check on that paper towel anytime they defecate or use the bathroom, so we can see if there's any parasites or worms in their feces. Once we've checked all that and had them eating and stuff like that, then we're going to have them moved into their more permanent enclosure. With most of these guys, you want to quarantine them for a while, but because these guys stress so easily, after we do all of the kind of physical and medical checkups on them, we're going to get them right in there so they can go ahead and get comfortable in their new home and keep them stressed for a long, or not as long, a shorter time. Alright, I'm sure by now you get the process here. Bathing, setting up the quarantine bins, etc. So we're just going to speed this up and move on to the next part. Alright, so here is the second pair. Just go ahead and briefly show you this. It's going to be the same process here though. We're going to check through the, unfortunately it's not paper towels, so it's a little bit harder to see when there's sphagnum moss. So we'll have to kind of pick through the moss, check them out, wash them, wash the moss off, and then wash them again. So it's a little bit more washing here until we can get the skink to its more optimal inspection status, I guess. So this here is the male. First looks, he looks really good. As you can see, he's got a bunch of sphagnum moths and stuff on him, so we're gonna wash him out and check him out a little bit better. All right, here comes the female. She also looks really good. She's got some good size on her, and she's very awake and moving a lot. Also, you can see the red around her eyes is a lot more vibrant than the other ones. I don't know if that's stress related or if it's breeding related or what it is, but her colors are a lot more flared up, I guess. So here on this guy, it looks like he is missing 2 of his spikes on his back there. So we're gonna put some colloidal silver on it, which is kind of like Neosporin for animals. All right, so the way you can tell if these are males or females is on the back of their feet. So this right here is a male. Let's see if we can even get his feet into the picture. He really likes to grip onto the gloves. All right, so let's see.
Let's see. Can I use one foot? Just one.
All right.
You see that one?
Oh, hold him still. So if you look right here, you can see white pads at the very base of his, oh, I'm moving a lot. So right here, you can see the bottom of his feet on these 2 toes. There's like some whitish scales there. Those are scent glands, and the males have those. So the female, so I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more so you can see right there. Those white pads right there. So the female does not have those. So he's like, what are you doing to me, man? All right, so let's put him into his quarantine. We're gonna keep him in here for a while, monitor his eating and feces to make sure he doesn't have worms and things like that, and make sure that he eats. He's a little bit skinnier than I would like, but he seems to be nice and lively, so let's check out the female. All right, so here is the female. She looks a lot chunkier, which is good.
She's got some battle wounds.
Yeah, so I don't know if she's just missing some scales on her back here. It doesn't look like open wounds, but I put some colloidal silver on it, which is kind of like Neosporin or Bactine that's safe for reptiles. So just to see how that looks in a couple of days, just to make sure there's no infection or anything. All right, looks like she's got gripped onto that paper. All right, okay, go ahead and put her hide back. So we're gonna show you the back feet on the female also. Oh, just hold her like that, that's perfect. So now if you look right here, remember those pads on the male? You see how there's no pads. Her toe is basically just straight and long. It's missing those thicker pads on the base. So that's how you can tell this is a female. Also the head shape, but it's not always super accurate. So the head shape on the female is a little bit more rounded, and the male is a little bit more triangular. But that is hard to tell unless you have them next to each other. So I would go with the toes method. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna show her her food, and I doubt she'll take it. She's probably highly stressed out right now. But we're gonna show her a worm. And see what she thinks.
Her face looks like put me down.
And then I'm gonna put the worm inside of the feeding bowl. And then we're gonna put her in the feeding bowl with that worm too. And we're gonna add 3 worms.
So there should be a total of 4.
No, it'll be a total of 3.
Oh, you said add 3, so.
Yeah. Alright, so put her inside of the feeding bowl.
Inside of it? She went right inside.
And then we're gonna cover. And we're gonna see if she eats. So we're gonna put her up, and we're gonna do the same thing for the male.
Oh, I'll get the male house.
Easy. So since he's already in his coconut, we're just gonna take the coconut up. Okay.
We can put this here.
Yeah, don't pull him out. We're gonna take a smaller worm. Show it to him. Okay. Oh, grab that cricket over there.
Should we move the cricket?
Yeah, drop the cricket in here too. Just put it in the bowl.
Perfect.
Alright, so then we'll put the worm in here. Now go ahead and put him in that bowl.
Come here, buddy. I'm not gonna go far. I'm just gonna wait for you to put the 3rd one in.
They're being elusive. Bang. Yeah. No.
Go.
Yeah. Okay.
He keeps climbing up to me.
Yeah. So put him in the bowl.
In the bowl.
Yeah, it's fine if he comes out of it.
He didn't even let go of me before he went out.
And then we want to put the hide close to the bowl so he can see the hide and the food. And then we're going to give him lots of privacy. All right, cool. All right, so now we're just going to monitor them once a day or so, try to leave them alone as much as possible. Look for any droppings, and then check to see if it's clear or not. If it's not clear, we'll have to get some dewormer. If it is clear, we're just gonna watch them for about 2 weeks or so before we put them together to see if they do well together. We'll have to do that in a separate enclosure because you don't want them, even after just a short period of time, they'll become territorial. So if you put them together in an enclosure that one has already been in, then he can be or she can be territorial. So you want to put them in a new enclosure together and they should be fine. All right. So this is where the baby dragons are gonna go. So I decided to try 2 different types of setups because I've seen both and I've seen people with success with both. So I want to see which one works the best, is easiest to maintain, etc. So the first one here is a paludarium setup. So it has water here along the bottom, goes all the way through the drainage layer. So this should help keep the humidity pretty high. It's super hot today, so the humidity has dropped down to 59. It was 72 last night, and you can see it's like 82 degrees. Even with the AC on in here, it's pretty hot. But yeah, so we have a filter in the back there, water pump filter. So it's going to filter the water We have isopods, live plants, bioactive. We used some, Zilla bioactive substrate. We have springtails and isopods in here, and some cork hides, all nice organic stuff. Okay, now in this one down here, kind of same deal with the drainage layer. I use clay balls on the bottom here, but instead of a pond, I just have a big water dish. The humidity in this one is about the same, about 4% lower. Temperature is also a little bit lower, but it's because it's lower down, I would assume. Also live plants in here, and cork hides, fern back there, creeping fig, some of those things. Also, of course, the isopods are in here, and springtails. There's not a lot of captive bred, so these are wild caught, which is an unfortunate thing. You can't really find many captive bred. So what I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna build a colony of these two and hopefully get another male and female, and then take their babies and build new colonies. So I'm gonna try to do what I've done with my fire skinks. So we've probably produced about 100 captive born and bred fire skinks from my 2 pairs that I've had. So I did lose the female from my first pair. She was egg bound about 2 years ago, and we tried to save her, and unfortunately she passed. But she had given us about 50 babies. Right now I have in here some captive bred. They were born in captivity, at least. So the female is captive born and bred. The male, he is the wild caught one that I had for my other one. So new female, different male. So I'm gonna keep one of these males and one female, and then from the old pair that is not related, I'm gonna keep also a male and a female. So I'm gonna try to keep growing that colony of fire skinks so we can have more captive bred, safer animals. Hopefully, you know, of course they're never gonna stop pulling them out of the wild, but at least this way we can have some healthy pets to keep at home.